So this is going to be my Patreon video for the month of December, and I would like to thank Winnie C, Fat Cat, and Brad M for their support on Patreon, and we'll go right into the video. So this is Louis, and it's the end of the year. For today, the last day of the current year, I'm going to give a quasi end of the year state of the industry statement related to the Western video game industry. This is pretty spur of the moment because I had another scripted commentary planned, but it didn't work out in the way that I needed it to. I'm hoping this commentary will act as a suitable replacement, even though I know up front that it's going to be fairly negative. For those of you that don't know, social justice dickheads invaded the comic book industry a few years ago and did to it what it did to gaming. Marvel Comics was ground zero for the infection and has very recently started to change after what can be accurately labeled a crash in sales. When you hit rock bottom and the ideologues making the bad decisions are forced out, you are left with the decision to do exactly as they did, knowing it won't sell, or go back to the way things were before the social justice ideologues destroyed the industry. Marvel appears to be reversing course, and like an iceberg, shifting very slowly away from the course that ruined its reputation with its consumers. Comic book fans can breathe a sigh of relief that the infection may still be present, but the industry is aware that the presence of social justice is more of a problem than it is a solution. However, in my view, unlike the comic book industry and the Western video game industry, things haven't changed. Believe it or not, but it has been 6 fucking years since social justice made its push into gaming. 6 years of propaganda, demonization, the endless propagation of lies, and dog-shit arguments in favor of giving these totalitarian cocksuckers more control over this industry. The Western gaming industry is clearly in a sales slump. Countless franchises have been reskinned, repackaged, and bilked the consumer to the exclusive satisfaction of the shareholders. I've said this before about EA, but they made their business model relying on apathetic consumers willing to make thoughtless purchases of bad products. But even with EA, that time has passed them by. And yet, I don't get the feeling in the slightest that this industry is willing to change. By all appearances, every one of these companies are still to this day catering to the whims of social justice activists, regardless of how many disastrous releases they've had. ZeniMax Media, which is the parent company of Bethesda, has unquestionably had one of their worst years ever, with releasing more duds than actual top-selling titles. Prey, Dishonored 2, Wolfenstein 2, The Evil Within 2 all had horrific sales figures. Did the space lesbian save Prey? Did the trans what the fuck ever and strong Negro of color save Dishonored? Did the cavalcade of diversity and fuck Trump PR save Wolfenstein? No, none of these games sold well. None of these endless fucking sequels were even above average, including Prey, which I liked. None of these franchises are better off this year than the year before. Bethesda can only release Skyrim and Fallout 4 so many times, and yet they show no sign of learning from their mistakes. EA is in the worst position in the industry, considering how every year they become more and more dependent on in-game microtransactions just to turn a fucking profit. And yet no one is making a mea culpa. No one is releasing a press statement. No one is cutting professional activists from their staffs. No one has learned the goddamn lesson that social justice is a plague, and because of it, nobody wants to buy your fucking progressive shovelware. 6 years of sequels with progressive politics. 6 years of deceptive, money-grubbing, and predatory business practices. 6 years of chasing a phantom audience that isn't interested in this hobby. How long is this going to continue for? The Japanese gaming industry is growing, not because the Japanese are naturally more innovative than Americans, but because they are innovating whatsoever. They don't have this dead weight, this anchor of social justice tied around their fucking necks like here in America, where sooner or later this rope around the neck of the industry is going to hang it, just like it did in comic books and like it eventually will in film. Progressive dicksuckers promised this industry a new audience, and all of us consumers better characters, richer narratives, more innovation, and what we have received for closing in on a decade has been the fucking antithesis. The Western video game industry is a sea of stagnation, where the deeper you go, the more bile and sewage there is, making creation impossible for anyone. When I was a teenager, I was warned that government regulation would kill the gaming industry and demonize the consumers of it, but the damage done has come exclusively from within. The journos, the developers, and the companies invited in a totalitarian movement that has done irreparable damage to everyone involved. They likely did this not thinking the outcome would be as they said, but because they were ideological sympathizers looking to turn gaming into a monoculture of limp-wristed Bay Area virtue signalers. A community devoid of talent, principle, intellectual curiosity, and any basic distinction beyond that of skin color and other surface traits. Video games, for them, were just a means to an end, a useful tool and nothing more. Do not expect a crash. I've said this more times than should be required, but by all appearances, it isn't coming. What happened to Marvel Comics was a sharp decline in quality and sales, but not a bankruptcy. The exact same situation is happening in gaming, but unfortunately for us, every fucking company is copying the exact same business model of Twitter and running the whole fucking market into the ground before even considering the idea that progressive politics don't sell. Progressive politics don't make good games, and even when games like Life is Strange or The Walking Dead sell a decent number of copies, it was a one-off. It was just a fucking fad that lasted 6 months in 2015 and is now dead. Just like Telltale, as a company, will be sooner rather than later. Single-player games with strong stories and characters sell. Progressive trash written by soy boy hacks from the Bay Area doesn't sell. If you pump your game full of diversity and bad business practices, your fate is sealed. A while back, I had a number of people come to me, bigger names that are part of my audience, and they all asked me, why don't you do takedown videos on this topic anymore? Because I am fucking sick of it. I am sick of repeating myself and having to deal with a group of people that are dishonest and flagrant about it. We've had 6 years of the video game industry acting in a uniform manner of pushing ideological horseshit cooked up by fucking Marxists into this medium, and since it started, we have seen near universal decline. A good game in this market is a fucking rarity. A unique game is like finding a fucking 4-leaf clover in California's largest landfill. These people are bullies that cry out as they strike us, and every meek little sputtering faggot is afraid of them. It doesn't matter how many sequels you pump out or how many Afro-Negroes you cram into your games. It doesn't matter how many journos prime the readers or how often you tip your beanie to the Patreon cam whores. And it doesn't matter what labels you use to malign gamers like me that actually put your companies in the black. At the end of the day, your politics do not sell. Your games are trash, and we have to import foreign ones to make up for the gap in talent that you ideological goons do not possess. Thanks for listening. And to all the totalitarians out there,
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
That's the end of the video, and I will thank Winnie C, Fat Cat, and Brad M for their support for me on Patreon at $25. And I'd also like to thank Matt D, Will M, and Luykus, who have been supporting me at the $15 amount. I actually lost one of my big supporters on Patreon this month, so it's Patreon for the month of December has been pretty bad, despite them actually, going back on their decision to change their policy. Regardless of that, I've actually lost a decent amount of support. It's not, catastrophic, but it's been bad. I'm hoping that this video will act as a good substitute, considering the video that I had planned just, I couldn't fit it in, and I worked the whole script out, and I just sat there looking at it like, this is not going to work. I'm going to have to go back and rewrite this again. Like, it was like the 3rd time I'd rewritten the script, and I was like, fuck, I can't believe I'm going to have to do this again. So I'm probably going to give it one last shot before I scrap the entire thing, because I only like to waste so much time in a single script before I just say, fuck it, I'm moving on. But we'll see where it goes in January. For now, I hope you enjoy your new year. you enjoyed the holidays. You hopefully enjoyed this probably short rant. Still have yet to edit it, so I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm just hoping that it will do for now. But in any case, thanks for listening.